Muchas gracias, Sara, y quisiera darles la bienvenida.
Thank you very much, Sarah, and I would like to welcome you to one of the series of talks in our program at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, en la Universidad de Madison, en Wisconsin. Today, September the 21st, 2021, is an honor for me to receive and introduce you Dr. Victor Boluarte Medina. He is the mayor of Cusco, Peru. Dr. Boluarte studied law at the University in Cusco. Then he did a master's in sociology in Lima. Then he went into do more 2 4 masters at the University of San Martin de Porres in Peru and another master in management in Madrid, España. And then he is a professor in law and sociology, and he is a professor in another law school in sociology and management. Dr. Boluarte was here in Madison in July, and he was participating in a series of discussions in order to be able to embrace all the links that we have between these 2 cities, Madison and Cusco, to be able to get a collaboration agreement between the 2 cities on. Please put your questions in the chat, and we are going to be choosing questions for Dr. Boluarte to be able to answer. Thank you, Dr. Boluarte. Welcome.
Alberto, muy buenos días.
Thank you very much, Alberto. Very good morning. Good morning. I'm sorry, it's the afternoon already. It's a few minutes past noon, and I'm saying hi to all of you, the ones that are listening in live. I am going to talk about issue that is important for all of us that are involved in studies in Latin America and is pertinent to the development of Cusco in Peru, South America. Cusco is a region in Peru. Cusco is the historic capital of Peru and is one of the regions, or is a very important region, not only because of the historic background, but also and as well because in regards to Cusco, Cusco is the capital of an empire, and it was the capital of the largest civilization that the Southern Hemisphere have seen in. And not only it was an empire, is it an empire, and is a continuation of a lot of the cultures, Andean cultures from the Andes, and the Incas, our native people, built a lot of things. So Cusco has the privilege to have been the capital of this empire, where all the paths Capañales, the 4 Capañales, 4 regions of the Incan Empire. As it is, Cusco has a feeling of being, and in the past, to be a very important capital and center of activity in the past. But Cusco is a tourist point that is the most important in Peru. Is a tourist place that is visited from international visitors and national visitors, and also its economy depends on all this tourism and all the services that are provided, the service areas that are provided to all these tourists. So then the introduction you ask us in order to be able to start this presentation is this is a message. In Peru, of course, our development has been affected for the effects of the COVID-19. Not only in Peru, in every place in the world. And also the political situation of our country is something that is taking a lot of importance right now, because the development of the tourism in the gestion of tourism in Cusco is extremely important, but also it depends on the situation of the politics of a country that is also fighting for development and to achieve growth. South America is a continent that has gone from having a very low GDP to middle income. In Peru lately, in the last I don't know, several 10 years, it has been having a GPD between $2,000 to $3,000 per person, and 30 years from 30 years ago to 7,000 per capita right now. So again, our financial situation is not is very precarious. Our society is not a developed one, but there has been growth, and there has been a lot of growth, and there has been a lot of aspects that have changed, and a lot of people have moved from poverty to middle class, and is something that is happening too in Latin America. But of course, all that development stopped with the pandemic. The pandemic hit us very hard, hit us not only in our daily lives, not only in our personal lives, it was in our health and in our economy and in all the economies. Of course, the tourism was closed. We were in lockdown. Peru didn't admit international flights for several months. So that translated in a really precarious situation in our economy and the finances of our city, Cusco. And that is the framework or the frame of that I'm going to be talking today. If we can have a vision of the problem that the pandemic has brought up into Cusco as a tourist point, very important touristic point in Peru. Internationally, if we look nationally, we look at tourism in Peru, represented 4% of the PBI in 2019, because Peru is basically is the first activity, economical activity of Peru is mining and exportation of those mining products. Then there is agriculture, and third is tourism. So the tourism industry represents the 4%, $4,784 million, and generating 1.4 million of employment there. But then in 2020, with the pandemic, was cut in half from 3.9 to 1.5 of PBI or GPD, and then the loss of 700,000 employment. In Cusco, the tourism represents 14% of the income of all the region of Cusco. All the region of Cusco is not only the tourist attraction that it is by itself, but we also have a urban, a town and a city, a metropolitan area. So, for example, only restaurants and lodging of these people that tourism that came to Cusco represented approximately 80%, 20% in restaurants, 10% in tourism agencies, transportation for tourists, 2%. So I am talking about only about Cusco, but is in the municipality of Cusco, but in the region of Muscle also is an important industry that we have in the region of Cusco is oil and gas production. And gas and oil come from Cusco and they go everywhere in Peru. Cusco, the region of Cusco is a rainforest in a huge percentage of it, and on the other part of its surface is Cusco, the tourist attraction. So there is a huge production of gas and oil and pipes, oil pipes and gas pipes, and that is bringing a lot of development into the region. So it's giving a lot of income into Peru and into the region, and is bringing a lot of the income into something that we call the canon, el canon. So it's a participation of each region from what they produce to the total income of Peru. So el canon for Cusco is huge because Cusco as itself provides a lot of that general government income into Peru. So also there is agriculture, there is the oil, there is gas, and that's why we say that tourism is only 14% of our income. Also, we have a lot of mining, and in some provinces inside the region of Cusco, high in the mountains, in the Andes, there is a lot of mining activity, and it gives a lot and provides a lot of the income of the region. So the tourism is kind of limited to 2 to 3 small provinces around the region of Cusco. So in like facing this situation, COVID, 2020, pandemic, 2020. So what we have been trying to do after the lockdowns have kind of stopped, subsided, the health situation of the country has improved a little, we have been doing activities of reactivation. Okay, so we are all now focused on reactivation, and that reactivation has been affected by an instability of the political situation of Cusco. You have all heard about our presidency, our president. The presidency has been vacant for some time during these last months, and finally we have a president. Finally, we have a president now, but we are hoping we are going to be able to reactivate transportation, touristic transportation, lodging, food, restaurants. They're going to be reactivated with the return of the international tourism. So we are reactivating all these programs and all this promotion for the tourism. There is right now is happening is a reactivation, and it's going up and up and up lately in the last months. And also we have some other areas in Cusco. We are also modifying all our industries in order to be able to give people education and give people education about what is going to be our new normal for tourism. So, for example, we are thinking about requesting a certification for vaccination, a vaccination card, a Vax card for COVID-19. So, for example, we are promoting the fact that we would like for people to come to Cusco, but being vaccinated. The tourists, we would like for them to be vaccinated. So in order for Cusco to be able to reactivate, and in order for Cusco to be able to be promoted as the first tourist destination, there is a lot of promotion, tourist promotion. So from the municipality, from the town of Cusco, what are we doing? Because my responsibility as the mayor of the municipality of Cusco, I am the cheerleader in order to be able to promote a lot of activities. For example, the terraces, gastropubs, gastronomic activities outside, in the sidewalks, on the plazas, on the terraces. Here you have some, we have adapted in several public spaces. The restaurants have been kind of going from tending to the customers inside to the outside. So this is pictures of examples. It's going slow, but we are really trying to promote this. Eating outside, al fresco. We have been doing and planning a lot of festivals and fairs, exportation to reinvent themselves, how the artisans, the people, the local people that do their art, make their art, how they can promote and they can find more channels in order to activate the sales. For example, places in Cusco like the Plaza San Francisco, San Francis Square. So here we have all these people, they are installing their spots, their posts there in order to promote their art. Is one of the huge things that Cusco has to offer. Is a patrimony. It's not only the cultural, it's not all the terraces in Cusco, all the cities and the old towns, but all this art, this local art, this folkloric art is concentrated in the expression in a material product, like those little sculptures, those is embroidered, and those are ancestral customs and culture that are transferred from generations, and they put together expressions of our art that along and in togetherness with our music, our dances, all that is a lot of promotion. Our cultural promotion, we are innovating too. We, for example, in order to be able to recover the trust of the tourists, the international and the national domestic tourists, is in order to show Cusco as a safe place and to be. So it's a campaign that is called Safe Travels. And of course, all these companies, international companies, multinational companies that are giving qualifications to tourism activities everywhere, they have been working with us, and we have we have consulted them in order to be able to give us these safe travels certifications. We have a lot of spaces here. We have remodeled the culture home, the home of the culture in Cusco. It's a very old building that was built in the 17th century, and we remodeled in order to be able to show different manifestations of our culture, dances, music, concerts, and all of that is linked to our political situation. So we also promote a lot of spaces where our people can express their culture, their ink culture. Our we are rich in culture, and we want for our people to be able to share these riches. For example, in little public space or big squares outdoors, we are giving the opportunity for our people to try to share their culture in order to be able to show the international tourism industry our cultural promotion. There are several artistic expressions, and we of course, are always promoting, are always making sure that all of this is done through safety protocols, but because for everybody to feel comfortable. Before I go a little bit further, in culture, when we talk about our culture, is Quechua. Quechua is our patrimony, cultural patrimony. The Quechua language or dialect continues to be well kicking and alive. It continues to be spoken everywhere, and we are promoting that. We have an anthem in Cusco, and our anthem is in Quechua, and we are promoting that, and we are pushing for all the private and public industries and associations in our area to be able for everybody to sing our anthem in Quechua, because that is our language is an inheritance from the past, but it's something that we need to keep alive. We always make sure that Quechua is present in all that we do. For example, in our municipality, we have a symbol. It's a little flower. That flower goes into a little package and we give that away. It's a phrase in Cusco is Cusco in Quechua, Catinampa in Quechua is to blossom. So Cusco is blooming. Cusco is growing. So that is our slogan. So in order to give this as a very important tool in all the spaces in which where our culture is shared, that is extremely important to us. That's our strength. Our culture is our strength. Our language is our strength, and the world comes to us to get to know that. So we need to show it. So in order to be able to do,
no tienen quizá todo el presupuesto que quisieran para poder realizar una serie de labores. Y en este caso, además, el presupuesto nacional sigue siendo manejado desde Lima. Perú no es un país federal, es un país unitario que tiene una capital de la República y que tiene algún nivel de centralismo que hace que, por ejemplo, municipalidades para reasfaltar una calle como la que ven acá en esta, que es San Andrés, tenemos que pedir al Ministerio de Vivienda que nos asignen los recursos para poder hacerlo. Pero de todas maneras,
there are things that we do, and there are things that are very important for us because they allow us to present in the best way possible to our city. So the city has to have a beautiful presentation, a beauty, clean, safe, better streets, better management of waste and recycling, better management of all our daily city and municipality activities. So it's a way to open our doors to the world that come to us to see and know our world. So that's why we have to give them our best image. For example, in our downtown Cusco, the historical center of Cusco, we have been redoing and remodeling all the roads in a very modern urban way with signaling and everything, but preserving everything that we have culturally wise. So, for example, there are some activities here that I would like to show, but also is a city. Also, we have to have mobility. Also, we have to have roads. So here in Cusco, like in many middle-sized cities, Peru, for example, is known for having a capital city. It's a mega city. It has a population of over 10 million people. So it's a macro city, macrocephalic city. It has a huge head, absorbs everything. And all the other cities in Peru are very middle size because we are between around 1 million of population. Cusco, we also have the problems that every city has. For example, urban transportation, public transportation is one of our problems. We are promoting, we are motivating, we have been doing a lot of studies. We want to do what we call viaducts, like rapid transit roads. We would like to use buses that are going to be put together, that are going to be going through a specially designated spaces to be able to give a faster transportation to our inhabitants. So we are now, is a connection to what is going to be the future of the transportation, the urban transportation. So this is Metropolitan Cusco, the city of Cusco, or the town of Cusco. Since we were in our infant ages, like let's talk about 30, for the last 30 or 40 years, Cusco has transformed itself completely. I am going to be showing you this slide where this is like a map of the city. It's a Google take. This area of the city, the district of San Sebastián, was completely disconnected from Cusco, historic Cusco. Now they are going to be connected. So in 30 years, Cusco has gone all the way to the left, to the right, north, south, connecting several peri-urban, suburban areas. The only one that is not connected to us is Corca. The rest, as you can see by roads, are interconnected by roads. So that didn't happen 30 years ago. That wasn't happening 30 years. So we are now facing the next 30 years. We are thinking about the next 30 years. In reality, if in 30 years it has multiplied its size twice or 3 times, we assume that we are going to be growing 2 times, 3 times, or even more in the next 30, and it's going to create and generate a lot of urban headaches. So we need to plan for a metropolitan Cusco. We have a plan for a metropolitan development, but also we have a process. We are in the process to build a community of provinces or of places, urban, suburban areas that are going to be together in a community and are going to be governed by one. Because when we are talking about each province with its autonomy, and for example, each of them are going to be able to find how to deal with their own problems, transportation, economical development, waste management. So that's why we think that if we get together and we in a community, there is a proposal there. For example, this is a proposal to how to use our actual airport when the other airport that we are building at this moment is put in service. So how are we going to integrate both of them? See, if we get a little bit away from this Google map from Cusco and all our districts, then we go a little bit farther up. Now we see how this city is connecting little by little with Anta at the north, Ubamba that is at south, and Quisquitlandia that is to the right of your screen. So that is the future of Metropolitan Cusco, and that is going to be motivated and going to be given a push by the construction of the new airport. If we go to the north of our area of Cusco, we can see how the town of Chinchero that is around here, where the arrow is,
Aquí está el Cusco y Chinchero está acá.
that is Cusco and Chinchero is there. And on that area, we are building our new international airport. If we go closer, get closer, we have in that area our Cusco International Airport, the one that we are building now. Now we open ground, we broke ground, and we are moving all the soil, and that's how the construction is going. So that airport is going to be interconnected completely with all the sacred valley of the Incas. Chinchero is there. That is going to be the international airport of Chinchero, and that is going to be that is the valley. In the next 30 years, this airport at Chinchero is going to give us what the architects say that is going to be an urbanistic phenomenon, and is going to bring population in all that area. Of course, people are going to be coming to live here. That is going to be asking for us to always think in our mind about Metropolitan Cusco. So in Peru, if a city has more than 500,000 population, is called a metropolitan city or a metropolitan area. So then we are going to carry with all the problems that we are going to have as a metropolitan area. So that metropolitan area has to have a lot of conservation of areas, touristic areas that need to be conserved, agricultural areas that need to be conserved, touristical areas that need to be conserved. So we are planning, for example, the Holy Valley of the Incas. We need to preserve all that, and Chinchero is a city, a town that is in the middle of everything, and is in the middle between Cusco and the Holy Valley of the Incas. And there is where the airport is going to be. So it's not only the airport, there are a lot of other projects that will allow us to do what we were saying before. I was saying before, to have a city that is going to be able to have a much more competitive touristic industry, but also is going to be able to have all the urban equipment and institutions and solutions that are going to be able to give their inhabitants, the people that live in Cusco, all the services that they need to be able to live their everyday lives. So for example, there is a highway that we are building, is a 7-kilometer road, is from the airport to the San Jeronimo district. The regional government is the one in charge of that road and building that road, and that road is going to be of extreme importance. It's going to be the center of the transportation, the core of the transportation network. So we are giving Cusco all the tools that Cusco needs in order to be able to go ahead, in order to be able to promote a larger amount of tourists, but Cusco can. I believe that Cusco can develop our national domestic tourism and international, be more competitive in order to be able to call and then make generate a lot of employment for people in Cusco and then in metropolitan area of Cusco. So we also have the Amazon, Peruvian Amazon. We have the south of Peru, the area of Arequipa. We have the beaches to the Pacific Oceans. But if we show in the front, we show Cusco as the first destination in Peru, then that people, that tourism that come, the tourists that come are going to be motivated to go everywhere else in Peru. So that is our proposal, to think about a metropolitan Cusco in order to be able to do more for all of us. In order to be able to start kind of wrapping up my talk. Okay, I am now. And I really would like to comment about other things. This vision of economical development did a situation about strengthen our cultural inheritance, and I would like to touch bases on our government and our political turmoil. So there are several political movements, leftist movements that come from unions, and they give a little bit of context to our economical political situation. It gives a lot of context into, for example, the fear of investing in Peru. Professor Castillo, our actual president, does not have the majority in our Congress. The Congress of the Republic of Peru is very diverse, is very heterogeneous. So nobody has a majority. So therefore, there is a lot of back and forth and a lot of internal fights inside the Congress about these political issues. So when there is a little bit of that kind of political turmoil, then of course that brings financial and economic uncertainty. So, for example, we look into private investment internally in Peru, and we also look into international private funding, because this political situation brings a lot of uncertainty and fear. So it's very hard with this political frame of mind that this is one of our problems that we are facing right now to be able to reactivate the economy. Dollar has been going up non-stop. Now we are in over 4 soles per dollar, and it's huge, and it's a huge increase, of course. Then exportation, importation, everything in this global world, everything, the currency is the dollar. So our inflation, we are experimenting a huge rate of inflation here because of the high prices of the dollar. So all this brings a lot of problems and troubles to our economy. And that is an obstacle in order to be able to motivate our economic reactivation and our development reactivation. Here is again is our flower, is a flower of cantu flower, and is our traditional and historical flower. And I hope, and we hope that our political difficulties are going to be resolved. I have a good hope about that. It's going to, because I know and I understand that it doesn't matter the tendency that the government has. The government, whichever the type of government that we have, cannot change from night to day the centuries of an structure of government. So there is going to have to, they're going to have to give a space to some kind of respect to all the structures that come back from years and even centuries of government. So unless they would like to have a coup d'etat, un golpe de estado, coup d'etat, I don't know, military, I don't know how they are going to be able to impose their government. And the most important thing is that they do not have majority in the Congress. So I don't know how they're going to be able to kind of have so much impact. So I think that things are going to calm down. Politically, things are going to calm down, and they're going that when the situation, political situation is going to be give us Cusco kind of a certain amount of certainty and well-being that are going to be able to give the opportunity to the population of Cusco and the population of Peru to have a life that is the one that is the life that they deserve with dignity, basic needs that need to be covered for our population. Peru is a centralist country. The the largest economical opportunities are in the center of the country, in the capital city, around Lima, Peru. So now we are in a different mindset that we need to distribute these opportunities, and we need to give all the areas, and we need to give all these well-being conditions to all the population in Peru and bring it to Cusco, because it's a city, is Cusco is emblematic for the world. Cusco is a patrimony of the world. Is a UNESCO declared 30 years ago Cusco as a part of the patrimony of the world. So we in Cusco know that we don't belong to Peru. We don't belong to Cusco. We belong to the world. And that allows us to kind of form and create relationships with other cities like Madison in July, with University of Wisconsin-Madison, when there are several lines of collaborations that we are creating. We are we already have we created already a fraternal relationships between the city of Madison and Cusco, and between the University of Wisconsin-Madison and Cusco. For example, we have been developing a central issue for us, and it's very important for my work as a mayor: recycling, waste management. How are we going to be treating residues? All the garbage, the urban garbage, all that. How are we going to be treating the waters? How are we going to be able to maximize the use of our water? So those are issues that are extremely important for me. So we are developing these issues as well. So we have shared all our questions and our concerns with Madison, inside the government of the city of Madison, and with Alberto, and inside the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and they know of all these issues. So Alberto from the University of Wisconsin-Madison has kind of shared all these concerns. Alberto, do we have a little bit more? Yes, we have 15 minutes more, and we are inviting the audience, to the people that are listening to this, our speaker today, to write your questions in the chat. I think that to start, I would like to ask you about the celebrations that you have planned for Cusco as Patrimony of the World, the celebration of the 30 years as one of the UNESCO sites that are Patrimony of Humanity. What are you planning on doing as celebrations of this very important date? Yes, Alberto, yes. December 9th, every year we recognize that, the declaration of Cusco as Patrimony of Humanity by the UNESCO. In fact, not much more, but since 2000, 2019, we have been participating in a international congress of cities that are also a patrimony of humanity. And Cusco was elected as one of the participant cities in this council. So that creates a lot of activities for us to be able to participate in that network of cities that are also patrimony of humanity by the UNESCO. So we have been participating in a lot of those activities. And as it is, we have participated in several meetings. In Mexico, we participated in a meeting because there is a lot of push for this declaration from the UNESCO. So that's why this year we are going to have an academic event December 9, December the 10th here in Cusco. This event is going to be virtual and is going to be in person. It's going to be hybrid. We are starting to to put together a program, and I was going to be asking Alberto if he will be able to help us. Is to in the patrimony also it has a lot of benefits, brings a lot of benefits, but a lot of debate, a lot of problems. The debate between the conservation of the patrimony, cultural patrimony, and to what point the tourism is going to be attacking and is going to be destructing this patrimony. So it's a balance and it's a lot of conversations back and forth. So it brings a lot of issues. So how can we going to be able to interact? We can be able to, it makes us be very conservationists, but then we are going to kind of not paying too much attention to our tourist industry. No, we can't do that. Are we going to be pushing the tourism without conserving our patrimony, cultural patrimony? No, we can't. So for example, simple issues like we have an historical downtown, an historical square center of our Cusco, and people who used to live there, they left. Why? Because there is a lot of noise. There is the value of the property goes to a point where it's unaffordable for all the people that live here, because all the properties have been purchased by the lodging industry and the restaurants. And one of the problems, the people are abandoned. So then that means that the culture is leaving us. So the recreation, the constant play of our cultural patrimony is threatened by these people leaving our center. So that brings a lot of reflections, a lot of discussions, and that's what we are sharing all these problems and all these answers and discussions with all these cities. For example, in Mexico, there is a debate, constant debate about all these issues. In South America, we have very few other historical, Quito in Ecuador. In Peru, we have only Arequipa, Cusco, and Lima. In Chile, there is only Valparaiso, La Paz. In Bolivia, there are a few places, Cartagena in Colombia. So there are not a lot of them in South America. So those are historical centers, historical, and there I have mentioned as well, Buenos Aires in other ways is a little, it participates also as another type of designation by UNESCO as a patrimony of humanity, Buenos Aires, Argentina, but it's in a different category. So that's what we want to do December the 9th, to bring all these people in order to be able to discuss all these issues. At the same time that we do a push, we push the economical reactivation, because there is a thirst in the world to come to us, come to Peru, come to Cusco, that they want to visit. There are a lot of archaeological places that we haven't still opened those archaeological sites to the public, the general public, because they are not accessible at this point by car or by bus. They can only be accessed hiking, and there is long hikes, 2 days hike. So we have a lot of attractions, archaeological places that haven't even been open for the exploration of the world. So we have a lot of ecological tourism that allows for the tourists to kind of get inside our environment. And that is a very important area, because it's a concept that we have, is something that we say here in Peru, and I think it's said in South America. Nobody in the world, no human being should die without coming and knowing Cusco, visiting Cusco, and knowing all that we have here to offer. Do we have any other questions, Alberto?